Ever feel like you're juggling advocacy asks like flaming torches while riding a unicycle on a stage in front of your CEO? Welcome to the real world of customer advocacy, where a lot of professionals are expected to scale love, prove ROI, energize champions, and keep everyone smiling even when you're running on fumes. Today's episode is dedicated to a topic we don't talk about enough, but we desperately need to. I'm Aparna, and after nearly 2 decades of building advocacy and loyalty programs, I know one truth: customer voices are the strongest currency a brand will ever own. This podcast is for marketers who turn users into superfans and quiet work into industry shifting impact. Whether you're launching your first program or leading a global engine, join me and my expert guests for honest conversations, real blueprints, and zero gatekeeping. Pull up a seat. This is the Loyalty Talks podcast. So today's guest isn't just someone I admire professionally. He's been a passionate mentor for nearly 3 years now, a consistent cheerleader in my journey, and someone whose posts have been little wake up calls and sometimes like warm hugs when I've felt stuck in my customer marketing journey. So I'll introduce everyone to Dave Hansen, Global Customer Advocacy Manager at Siemens, who is a seasoned strategist who not only builds programs that work, but does that with a lot of heart, humility, and a whole lot of operational brilliance. So, hey, Dave.
Hey, far too kind. Thank you so much for that introduction. Also, how has it been 3 years?
It was a little before I had attended the London event where I then eventually met the other members like Jen and everyone. I was like, good Lord, it's been 3 years? Like, yeah.
I blinked. I don't know what happened at that time. That's so crazy to me.
I'll start with our topic today, which is
Sure.
a sensitive one, yet one of the most relatable topics, regardless of the variety or version of marketing that we are in. I think each one of us is either gone through something like that or is going through a burnout, right? So let's start where most people don't even look. It's emotional exhaustion. I know you've led a lot of high impact environments, right? So, advocacy programs and marketing processes across your decades of experience. I think when I talk about my initial marketing stunts, which started with, I remember waking up dreading of the fact that, oh, good Lord, the status call, like an internal status call. And it was never because I never loved my work. I loved my work. But there were times that I had nothing new to prove, right? What do I just concoct? There were a lot of increasing demands, but very less gratitude for the role that I was in at that point of time. Now, I think a lot of us feel that kind of disconnect. So, from your experience, how does burnout really show up in this field? And what are the early warning signs most teams tend to overlook?
Sure. I mean, it's a big question. I think to what you just said, though, it's not that you don't care, it's that you care too much. Too much isn't the right way to say that, even. It's that you do care. And that's why you're getting burned out, because you're putting so much of yourself into your programs, into your customers, into the things that work. You care to see customers succeed. You care about events and awards, and you
Yeah.
want to make sure everything is right. I think as customer marketers, as advocacy specialists, we're wired that way. We're wired to be
Yeah.
empathetic. We're wired to be that warm hug. We want everybody to succeed, and that can be exhausting when you're that person who's doing all of that stuff, because you need a warm hug. You need to have that love coming back to you sometimes. There is a personal element to it. What is it that is your motivation? What do you need to come back in terms of recognition so you don't necessarily feel that burned out yourself? But I think is part of all of this, where I really want to talk about this is we receive a barrage of asks. I mean, we've seen this for a number of years because there's this whole question about what is customer marketing? What is customer advocacy? And so when people get those weird requests of like, could they be the people that help us get customers in our vendor showcase at our user conference? Could they be the person who helps us get a guest blog or a podcast or whatever the thing is? We say yes. We're wired to say yes. We say yes
Yes,
to everything. And the truth of the matter is, that's where we were as a profession when we were new. We were in a place that we were trying to establish ourselves. We were trying to
correct.
build up a role, so we had to say yes to everything because we had to see what was the impact that we could have. But we need to stop it. I mean, we're our own worst problems in so many ways. We need to be able to say no. We need to be able to say no to people. And that is such a hard concept to get to because
I think I'm such a people pleaser also. I would not be able to say.
I get it. I really, truly do. It is one of the hardest things for, I think, anyone who's listening to this podcast or anyone that we work with. The ability to be confident in the work that you're doing, to say no to additional asks and additional tasks that kind of go beyond the scope. I think we're going to talk about the power of no a lot. Seeing some of the questions you want to talk about later, I know I'm going to talk about no a lot. So I'm going to leave it at that for now for that particular piece. But I think that's really where we see this, where the burnout's happening, though, is because we care too much and we say yes to a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think the other problem that we see that leads to this burnout, though, is because it's not just that we're saying yes. It's not just that we're getting a ton of asks to us.
Yeah.
It's not just that we care too much. It's also, and I don't remember the statistic off my top of my head, but it's, something like 60, 70%, I think,
Yes.
from the Customer Marketing Alliance had said, I'm a team of one or I'm a team of two. I'm alone in doing this work. I have been that team of one or team for two for a very long time. Obviously, I'm
Correct.
in a very different place at Siemens now. I'm very grateful to be where I am, to have a full team of support. But the myth of the team of one also needs to go away. Like, we need to stop leaning on being a team of one.
Correct.
Getting into two hot takes in one question here, that we're burning through hot takes here. We shouldn't be seeing ourselves as a team of one. Yes, we might be the ones who want to take it on because we care too much. Again, it's coming back
Correct.
to we care too much. So we're all control freaks. We want to do the work. We want to have our hands dirty. We want to control that experience. But the reality is, for us to be successful, especially, it doesn't matter if you're a team of one or if you're a team of 10 or more.
Yeah.
You need to build partners across your organization who are there so you're not alone. So you're not a team of one.
You're right, actually. I've realized many advocacy pros feel like they're constantly trying to sell the value of their work.
Yeah.
It's unlike other teams, we don't always have those dashboards full of pipeline numbers. So I feel, how have you managed that mental load of expectations, fatigue, and fought to stay creatively energized?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in terms of like expectations, and you had mentioned value very specifically within there. I mean, I think this comes back to what I was just saying about the myth of there being teams of one. You're not alone. In many cases, you don't even own the value that you're impacting, if that makes
Correct.
sense.
Correct.
You're leading, organizing a cab, right? You're pulling
Hmm.
together a client advisory board, bringing in high impact, we'll say executives in this case,
Yeah.
to give direct feedback on a regular cadence about a certain product. Um, you're not the one that's necessarily seeing the value. The customers are getting it because they're getting access to product, but product, they're the ones that are seeing the value. So they're the ones that should be on the hook here to be talking about the value that they're impacting. But they're not just going to do that unless there is that conversation to set those expectations with teams like that. I'm happy to help you. And so I think when we're talking about saying no, bringing that back into the fold
Yeah.
here, like, say yes, but say yes with like, I'm not just doing this because it's right. We have to be able to show that it's having an impact on our customers or on our organization, or ideally both, to be able to continue to do these things. So if this cab was meaningful for you as a product manager, a
Hmm.
CTO, whatever, then let's work together to make sure that we're sharing this value back. What did we save in development time? What did we save in, um, future revenue because we just launched a new product based off of client feedback. I don't know what it is. Depending on what
Yeah.
that is, you need to have those partners in the organization to help you prove the value.
I totally agree with this whole attributed success because it's not just one party in it then. Everyone's picking up on the load and driving the same mission. So, yeah, I get that.
I mean, I think it shows kind of an abstract concept here, choosing product and cabs to jump off at. But I mean, it's a lot easier than that if you look at like customer success. Customer success has pretty clear metrics that I think we all generally align to. We know that if we have advocates in our programs that we're going to retain them because they're engaged, they're connected to us. We know that by the act of connecting our customers together, by them sharing their wins, by them sharing where they're stumbling, we know they're going to learn from that and there's going to become growth that's going to come out of that. That's going to be billed as organic growth, you know?
Hmm.
We know we're behind that stuff, but we've all struggled to be able to show that. So we need to be aligned with CS on their goals because they're the ones that are reporting out in most cases on renewal, on retention, on growth, on adoption, however you're referring to it as the ARR at the end of the day, right? And if they're the ones that are reporting out on that, you need to make sure that you're aligned with them because you're helping their customers and their customers are doing
Correct.
those things. So at the end of the day, they're hitting their goals. I think it's Forrester that says marketing doesn't hit their goals unless sales hits their goals. I think that's a common Forrester thing
Yes.
that's been going
And a
around.
very valid one. A very valid one. Yeah.
It's a very valid one. I mean, I think the same thing goes for us, like truly shared KPIs amongst the
Yeah.
team. And it goes two ways. As a CS team, need to be able to give me X number of referrals into my advocacy program. You as a CS team have to commit to whatever your priority is, X number of
Correct.
customer stories, whatever,
So
again, whatever this,
it's more like reciprocating so that the burnout doesn't really exist then. Yeah.
that's a
No one gets tired pulling the horse. Yeah.
share the load because I mean we can fight against it, but at the same we're all here again coming for the same reasons.
Yeah.
And the more that
Yeah.
we can instill that. One of my biggest pet peeves in organizations are the organizations that get so territorial about customers.
Yeah. True.
Um, you'll hear people say, "Oh, the CSM owns that
Yeah.
relationship."
Yes.
No,
Yes.
the CSM does not own that relationship. They might be the key contact. They might be the, "Hey, call me if you have questions and I can be your air traffic controller." But
Hmm.
no, they don't own that customer.
True.
You know, like for a customer to be successful in any org, you need a deep bench of you want that customer to feel like every single person in your organization is committed to their success, which means you might have an account orchestrator, a customer success manager, an advocacy person, an events person. You might have a whole stable of
Yes.
people that you know within an organization. And how great do you feel when you look at one of your partner organizations that you're working with as a customer and you're like, I felt this with Influitive back in the day. I
Yeah.
knew that organization inside and out from the top to the
I know.
bottom. You
Yes.
know, we knew all the Dans, we knew all of the
I
CSMs, we knew
yeah.
support, you knew every single person that was there. And how great did that feel?
I agree.
And
Like I
that's
miss that a lot. I miss that a lot because it was so comfortable to navigate. And rightly said, like when you mentioned that, a lot of teams get territorial. I've faced that in the past. Here,
mhm,
right now in my current organization, it's beautiful. The fact that they understand that, yes, this relationship matters and it's going to benefit all of us. It's something that has, I think, trickled down from the leadership. So it's good. But I think a
mhm.
lot of organizations, and I would say it's not like a lesser chunk or something, but I think a lot of organizations still lack that kind of thing because they do get territorial. You're right.
Yeah. Well, and I think related to that, I mean, this all circles back to, I think every now and then we need to take a step back and just remember, 20 years ago, I was building customer communities of educators and I was connecting them to share best practices. My role, it was a marketing coordinator role. There was no advocacy, there was no
Mm.
customer marketing. I was doing customer marketing. I was building these communities of best practices, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The terms customer marketing, customer advocacy, you, I don't know. I'm sure somebody who's listening could probably correct me on when it actually got. My first role that I had advocacy written it was like 2017, 2016, something like that. So
Mine was similar. I think 2018 was my first-hand experience on what customer advocacy, meant.
right.
Correct.
And so it's a new profession. I mean, you think about the where it's going, where it's been. Like there's a lot of discovery that's involved with it.
No, we've talked about these stakeholders, these processes, and everything, Dave. I think the burnout, while we talk about the marketing professionals or the advocacy managers or something, I feel this fatigue has also come down to our advocates, right? Within our program, I think I once had a customer. I'll give you one of my personal takes here. I had a customer who did 9 different acts of advocacy, and I was thrilled. I was like,
Okay.
brilliant. You can't ask for more. You have someone so engaged. But, giving an advocate activities as minimal as 3 blogs in a week to read or share or give a review or to become a reference, right? I've started talking to a lot of advocates now, but at that point of time, I could just sense that the energy gradually started dipping down. And I think not that they didn't have love for the brand, it still was there, but I think it cost someone's peace. And at times, we've all felt that, like, let's say you open your advocacy portal or your CRM or something, and you realize that you've been calling those 6 advocates over and over again for, let's say, they're overexposed to all those activities, especially because they don't say no.
Yeah.
They also tend to say, yeah, we'll do this, we'll take our time, we'll, give you 15 minutes or something. So I just want to know, how do you think that we should manage that exhaustion part also?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. I think we've been talking fairly pie in the sky. We've been talking about the cup half full here. When it works, how does it work right? But we know that the gritty part of this is that at the end of the day, customers will be asked. They'll be asked to do a lot. There will always be somebody who will go around somebody else, especially when there's control issues on who owns the customer. And customers will be hearing from multiple stakeholders asking for different things. Or even everyone's coming to you and they all say, we want a piece of so
The
and
pie.
so. So we know that that's real. We know that happens. And I think there's kind of two parts to this. I'm going to stay on my optimistic part of this for a minute here. I think a true advocate has that psychological safety to say no. Like they're not worried about repercussions of
Correct.
saying, that doesn't work for me right now. Thanks for thinking of me, but I'm going to have to pass. Like they're comfortable saying no to you. That's a sign of a healthy relationship. That's the biggest thing. That's where we want to get with every single one of our customers. We know that not every single customer is going to say no, though. We know customers are going to say yes to a lot of things, especially because they're feeling excited. They've got that pent up energy of like, wow, I feel really seen and really wanted, and I'm trying to build my own resume. So if I was able to get on that stage and speak at that conference, that would be so amazing for myself. And oh wait, to be able to do that thing that I really want. They also want me to do a video testimonial and they want me to do a guest blog and they want me to do all these other
Oh,
pieces
yeah.
because you want one thing, you think that the other stuff is wrapped up into it. That's tricky. And I do get that. So I think this is where, I mean, technology can aid us. I mean, to a degree, there is the dear customer, tell us your limits. Like, what do you want to do? How frequently are you willing to collaborate on us is one piece of it. But I
Correct.
think the other part of it is also understanding their motivations. What is it that they want to participate in, and what are the things that they want to do? Because what we're doing here isn't for everybody. Not
Correct.
everybody wakes up saying, "Man, I hope I can be on a podcast today." Some customers they're just like, "Man, if I could connect just one on one with another customer to hear what they're doing, share some of the things I'm doing, I would love that." But I don't necessarily want a bigger stage to share
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, the different motivations that people have, the limits that people say that they can commit to, the safety of saying no, I think those are all elements at play to help protect our customers to make sure they're not getting burnt out. And I'll tell you what, I mean, we have some customers across Siemens who they do get hit from every single angle, and we try to protect them. And we do, not necessarily our place to, it's again, this is a team effort. It's a team effort to protect our customers here. We are
Correct.
one tech company though. And some of those customers just love it. Because they love being on the stage. They love the opportunity to give their own brand exposure by having these opportunities. So they say
Hmm.
yes because it's stuff that they love. And the only reason they'll say no to us is because, hey, I've got a conflict. I've got something else
Yeah.
that's happening. Like those people are wonderful, but there are other advocates who have meaningful things to say who just how they engage might be different than what you want from them right now.
And to be very honest, while you were saying it, I could recollect, okay, yes, this has happened. And we appreciate the fact that they say that, hey, thank you so much, but I'm going for a holiday. I have XYZ appointment. But let's say there's a sales that has to close with a reference that is needed and say that no, 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 I need it for this particular product, I need it in this particular region, and you know that that particular product and region and whatever other term is that one particular advocate who's already done a lot. So where do you step in and make that balance diplomatically?
Oh, I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways that you can go with this too. I think talking about the optimistic, perfect world, there's alignment where everybody understands. Our customers have agreed, especially references. Like there are people who love references because they'll talk about you and they love the one-on-one connection of talking about use cases. There are customers who probably would do all of the references if they could, but there are people who are
Yeah.
like, man, I'm not here to sell for you. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm happy to do one because I feel like maybe I might owe you something, but like it's not for everybody. And I think being able to again have that alignment and set those expectations of what people are willing to do and being
Hmm.
able to say, yeah, I'll do it, but I'll do it once a month. Like to be able to have a central place for that data matters. And it needs to be recorded. People need to be thanked. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
goes without saying with anything we're talking about here. Always with the gratitude back because I expect that we do that. So I'm not talking
True.
about it, but I expect we do that. But really, like, it's not necessarily that sales keeps hounding you,
Hmm.
hounding our
Hmm.
profession for these references. I mean, there's also like I feel like in the same stage we often get the, "Hey, let's talk about what Apple's doing. Can't we get connected to Google? Can't we get
Correct.
connected to Siemens? Like, who are those big brands that we want to be connected to? Can't we use them because they're impressive? They would be so great." And
Yeah.
that's the part that sometimes we also need to make sure we're setting expectations with sales.
Yeah.
So, what do
Yeah.
you want from a reference call? Do you want someone to say like, "Yeah, no, yeah, we're cool," or do you want someone who's going to be passionate about it? And so
Correct.
sometimes even the who do you want to be connected to question comes with a little bit of a, do you want to talk to somebody who's really into what they're doing and they love the work that they're doing and they
Yeah.
feel connected? Because that's who I'd want to send, my perspective.
That's 100%. I think 100% I would agree with it because a lot many times, and the good part is with the kind of reference program I run, it's not do or die kind of a thing. It's not like, oh my God, I can't log off from my shift because I need to look for a reference. One alternative I've found which has worked wonders is I have a lot of testimonials, be it for
Wonderful.
product, be it for a program, be it for a survey that we run or anything on those lines. And it's so nice that we can sit and go through collectively what works for someone, make an entire list for it and put it out there that okay, there'll be testimonials for each product, each program. So that also takes a lot of load off an advocate personally because they get featured. It's a recognition, definitely. But then at the same time, they did not have to go over a live call and spend a lot of time. So,
I right. I mean, I think that's so smart too. And there are products, gosh, is it Slap that does it? That they'll do the video
I
references.
think
So
these guys also do it. Peerbound, where they
yeah,
listen into CSM calls and pick up on the good points. And I think a lot of companies have now realized the value of it. And yeah.
Yeah, Sonny and that crew at Purebound are wonderful, but you're absolutely right. I mean, the having those pieces that you can share back instead of getting a live customer, like we know the questions you're going to ask, like, are you satisfied? What's their support like? How quickly did it take you to get to value? Like, you know, the standard reference questions that people get, like that stuff. If you could surface it earlier, have it recorded so you're not getting a live person, like,
Correct.
it, and that also saves a
Yeah.
lot of that burnout.
I think we all have that last minute thing where we think of alternatives to not burn out an advocate or even your own team member with a certain ask or an objective. Is there something that you've built at, let's say, Siemens or anywhere else in your previous organization that has helped you lessen the burnout for your team, yourself, and have a steady advocacy rhythm?
What I really think, and it's where we're starting to see a lot more brands go, and I think it for good reason, is I mean, this all kind of shakes out to life cycle advocacy. And it's the idea to be able to hit the right customers at that right
Mhm.
moment with the right ask. And the work it takes to get there is incredibly difficult. I mean, I forget who it was, but I was talking to somebody who was like, internally, it took us 3 years to map out what the actual true customer journey is. When you think about inbound, when you think about when they come in as a lead
Yeah,
into your organization versus how discovery happens, how the actual sales process happens, how the close happens, how the handoff to CS happens, how
yeah,
implementation happens, how like that whole life cycle, there's opportunities for advocacy to be a part of it. And where and how we interact there matters because those moments matter. And I think it's something that we're keenly focused on and we're building out our view of it right now. But I mean, in the past, there are always some of those quick moments. In the past, we built some just very easy wins to be able to help identify advocates,
hmm,
not even necessarily advocates, people who don't know they're advocates yet. In a past company, we surveyed a lot. We surveyed post implementation. That was just the quick, easy, like, hey, you implemented, you launched. How are you doing? Like, how did that process go? How was the education piece? How was your setup piece? Like, you're good to go. People are always so thrilled. They're always so excited at that stage, right? Because they've
yeah.
been working at this and they're launched and they're free and they're good to go and people are pumped. Yeah, it's good to find some people who have the energy, but we know that energy will burn out unless you get them
Correct.
involved and engaged in some other connection. So I think that's a great opportunity to have an intervention, to be able to step in, to be able to say, hey, here's some of our programs that can support you. You want to connect with other customers? Join our advocacy program because this is an opportunity for you to meet others, to share the wins that you're going to face and to also help you through the stumbling blocks, which you will also face. I mean, being real is, I think, also in our nature when it comes to this stuff.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And in this past company, we did another survey that was like 6 to 9 months after that first survey,
Okay.
because that was kind of the moment that we identified as, all right, you've been running at this by yourself now. You have a CSM, but you don't have implementation team behind you with all those
Mm,
questions necessarily anymore. How are you doing? Are you still succeeding? And that was another great opportunity to build a life cycle moment to be able to say, like, if they're not doing well, connect to the CSM and let's work together to find resources, whether that's through support, whether that's through implementation, whether that's through a program that exists to make sure they're succeeding. Or if they're soaring and they're flying high, this might be a great opportunity to capture in on not just the fact that they're succeeding early, but their energy
yeah.
because they're still stoked about it. And to be able to get them activated for case studies or testimonials or whatever the ask is.
I have been reading a lot about life cycle advocacy and life cycle marketing. The other day, also, I was asking one of my managers because it's something that we are definitely a part of. Whether we entirely can, go through that entire journey is something that is still, I think, debatable because there are a lot of stakeholders involved.
Well, I to be stand on my soapbox for another minute about this too, because I think this is another important part of like we started talking at the very beginning about this, about how we're wired to say yes, and we take on a
Mhm.
lot of stuff, and part of it was just discovery of like our organizations figuring out what does advocacy mean to us as an organization. people trying to figure out, well, how do I actually work with Dave? Like, what is Dave actually doing here? What are Dave's intentions with my customers? Like trying,
Yeah,
there's a feeling out phase of it. But when you think about it at the end of the day, going from saying yes to things to being comfortable saying no to things, like the impact that our work really has, we sit central and should be positioned centrally to go to market because we're the
correct.
ones that are really truly armed with, we know the good, bad, the ugly of our products because we talk to our customers day in and
Yes.
day out. We know where processes are broken because we talk to customers. We sit so centrally that we know what's happening in CS. We know what's happening in product. We know what's happening in marketing. We know what's happening at executive levels and in support and in community. We know where all of this
Yeah,
stuff is because we have to be. So the work that we're doing isn't just like, if there's anybody who's going to help build lifecycle, it's us because we're so central to the whole company and that go to market motion that,
true.
it has to be us. It has to be us that's leading it. But again, it's coming from a strategic place and it's not just coming from this order taking, I'm
Hmm.
saying yes to things, I'm saying yes to things. It has to come from a strategic place. And if we're going to do that, that's coming back to why we also have to be able to say no to things because we have to find that value. I realized I
Give
wasn't
back.
saying no enough in this last 30 minutes or so. And so I wanted to say no a few more times there for you.
No, that's actually insightful because yes, I too feel the little that I've read about this whole life cycle marketing, I think we do um, stand at the core of it, which is an important factor. But then, yeah, I think let's see how that goes. But I think we'll zoom out a little from the alignment and the collaboration bit.
Sure.
I need to know from you, what can advocacy leaders do to create a culture where burnout isn't just managed, it's actively prevented? I know we've discussed a lot of it also, but I just want to know where this program of not letting people burn out or have that fatigue, but can thrive long term as a team, as an advocate, both ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've danced around a lot of these themes already. I
Yeah.
mean, the first one is being able to pick and choose your battles.
Strong boundaries. So,
Yeah, strong boundaries. That's
yeah.
exactly it. Like, again, where you want to say yes, where you know what aligns with what you're trying to accomplish, where you need to say no because you don't have bandwidth. Same thing for advocates, giving them the space to say no. Like, a no isn't a no. Like, a no might be a no for now, but knowing that if a customer's telling us no for something, it doesn't mean that they're not willing to do other things.
Yeah. Lesser ego, maybe? More,
Maybe.
yeah.
That's possibly it. Understanding motivations is really a part of that. But to go back to the question at hand is, how do you build that healthy culture? Again, this also comes back to just shared KPIs. This myth of team of one needs to die. Like,
Hmm.
yes, you might be the only person that has advocacy as a title in your organization, or you might be two people that have it and one person's only references and then you're doing all the other stuff. Like, that myth needs to die because you can build strong enough relationships where that is a shared responsibility. You're the one that's running point, sure. You're the
Yeah.
one who's helping set strategy and direction for it, but for this to truly impact the organization, you have to have shared KPIs, you have to have shared alignment, and then that will also create a healthier environment so that there isn't as much burnout because you don't feel alone. When I hear people
Hmm.
say team of one, I hear I feel alone. And you shouldn't feel that way. You should
True.
have partners within your organization because honestly, you're making their lives easier because again, we sit at central to go to market. We sit at the core of all of this. And if we're doing that, we are helping everybody else. We're helping them achieve
Yes.
their goal.
Yes. That's spot on. Okay, so we've spoken about how we do the maintain a balanced culture. How do we overlook whatever is burning someone out, be it a team member or an advocate? I know we've not spoken about technology, right? Because technology also has a lot of role to play in burning you out or making your life way easier. I still remember I've spoken on my first podcast, the solo one, where I said that, okay, I maintained Excels. I never had a program or any kind of software to run my first advocacy program. Yes, initially it was Excel hell, but
In there, yeah.
I got the hang of it. And can you imagine, at that point of time, Asana wasn't very popular, but I was one of the first people who was using Asana for marketing purposes and,
Nice.
engaging with teams. So I think technology also has a major role to play when it concerns your fatigue or your work balance. Do you have platforms or tools that you would possibly recommend or talk about where you could find that balance of your workload and reduce that friction per se?
Sure. I mean, technology, I think that all of this comes with a disclaimer, right? I mean, technology is very personal to the user. I think when it comes down to it, it also, when you get into some of this stuff, can also be a huge source of angst for us because
Yeah,
not all of us necessarily came up as technology wizards.
correct.
I mean, I was writing code back in the day and I was handling integrations for products back in the day. So I feel like I'm maybe better than the average bear when it comes to some of this stuff, but not everyone is. And I think we get thrust into these roles where we're like, we need to bring on this piece of technology because it's going to help us. And then we also then have to all of a sudden become tech wizards to help with this integration. It's just another opportunity for me to say, you're not alone. You need to find your partners. Um, I think there's no secret to my friendship with Allison Bukowski. And one of the smartest things that Allison ever said about technology was one of the very first people she befriended with was their tech person, was their procurement person who helped with some of these
Excellent.
integrations. Because when she was getting software, she was having that person do the pitch, not her. Because that person can speak the language, that person can make those
Correct.
connections. So I think that's my disclaimer to talking about technology. It can be a source of angst for a lot of people, but you're not alone. So tools that help. I mean, there's a few different things. Asana is wonderful in terms of organization. You talked about that. I use Monday now, and I love Monday. It's fantastic. But some of these, it's like there's keeping yourself organized, there's keeping your teams organized, there's keeping the organization organized. So it's
Correct.
finding something that works within your structure to make sure that there is a clear alignment. Same thing goes for, not saying that we all have access to control what our organization does for KPIs, but anything where you have that clear visibility into what are those key company goals and how does that filter down to my
Correct.
role in advocacy matters in terms of what we do. But in terms of stuff that makes my life easier, I mean, user evidence, I think
Mm.
we hear a lot. I mean, Evan and
Yeah.
his team there have been doing phenomenal things for capturing testimonials, for being able to provide landing pages for sales to be able to access these resources, to be able to kind of play that third party researcher to give validation to the stuff that you're saying. This isn't Dave
Yeah.
just making something up. These are our customers who are actually saying these things, not just testimonials, but pieces of data that show efficiency or improvement or whatever it is you're trying to show. Like it's a huge opportunity. It's lightweight. They're very good at what they do. Obviously, the space that we're in has been so disrupted by the lack of influitive. There's been enough podcasts
Oh,
and webinars and blog posts devoted to the subject of our
yes.
space right now.
Yes.
It is incredibly fractured. There are few that do it all at the end of the day. So we're looking at a
Correct.
lot of point solutions to solve a lot of the biggest woes that we might face. Um, However, I think the one that I'm most excited about, and we're not customers. I want to be
Mm.
clear about this. This is like I'm not a customer, but I'm endorsing people here. Um, and
Nice.
that's Champion. I mean, I really do see the work that they're doing, not just as thought leaders within our space, but also their ability to connect what customer marketing and advocacy is doing back into customer success. They have a very strong integration with Gainsight. And that comes
Mm-hmm.
not just from it's the right thing to do for us to be able to show off and to be able to speak with customer
Yeah.
success, but Gainsight's their customer. So they're actively building it with Gainsight to be
Mm-hmm.
able to make this a really unique place to have a customer marketing CRM, something that is tracking the health of your customers, tracking those engagements, giving customers a space to be able to set their limits for what they want to participate in. They do have a reference tool. We actually don't own references at Siemens. That
Mm.
sits in a different team. But if they wanted to participate in this, there is a reference tool that could tie into it as well. So the ability to be able to tie all of these customer interactions into one place that is dedicated to the work we're doing, I think is amazing.
Incredible. Yeah.
Not
I think
customer, but
we've spoken about technology, we've spoken about our thoughts. We've not talked about our personal way of dealing with, let's say, exhaustion or stress or a recharge move. What is your mindset shift, be it a walk, a playlist, or do you completely unplug? How do you unwind in a time of, let's say, stress?
I think the time tested method is if I ever find myself in a crabby mood, which doesn't happen that often, I am generally
Mhm.
wake up happy and optimistic and positive. But
I
if
can
I'm ever,
vouch for that.
I think you're one of those people who has seen me at my worst day. It's just like a half smile. It's not anything less than that. I This isn't me just being cheesy or corny. There are literally, and people have laughed at this. This isn't a joke. There are two things if I'm ever feeling in a funk that will truly get me out. The first thing is Stevie Wonder. Any
Okay.
Stevie Wonder blasting, perfect. My mood is better. The second thing is any client call. Like I could be in the worst mood ever going into a customer call, but by 5 minutes into that thing, I'm recentered and life is good. That's not me being cheesy. That is just the truth. Like I come out of those and I get so hyped up afterwards.
Uh-huh. I
On a personal note, though, at the end
Mhm.
of the day, like cooking is my ritual. I
Oh,
need to be
nice.
in my kitchen. I need to be cooking food. I'm in my happy place. Like I will do the dishes as well because like it's just like the whole clean kitchen, a kitchen that's loved and cooked in. Like that's my happy place. Is that space in my house at the end of a hard day? Let me do that.
When you say you don't want to sound cheesy, now I'm just wondering, should I tell you what I do? Because I would
Yes,
sound very cheesy. Because
sound cheesy. Bring it.
painting is something that I do. I enjoy at times of stress, and it's stress, not really work, but the 5 years that I've been in this organization, I've never had a moment of stress, which is going to sound very, I'm being goody two shoes kind of thing, but no, it's actually been the thing. I've not been stressed. I hope they don't hear this and give me stress, but I've been very happy, touch wood. But personally, yes, I've leaned towards painting and everything, but at times where there are moments which I wouldn't call stressful, but yes, there are times where maybe you want your voice to be heard. I journal things. So
Love
I
it.
write about it. And there have been times, oh good Lord, I have literally written a love letter to my program because I have got carried away being attached to it. So when you were saying initially that, we get too attached to it also, I get that because
Yeah,
I am that kind of person.
that's awesome. Again, this comes back to the very beginning of the call. It's because we care so much about the work that we do that we generally are wired as passionate people. And it all makes sense.
This has been really, really nice, Dave. We have chatted nearly an hour now. So I have a lot of editing to do, but I know this conversation has been nothing short of therapy and
Oh,
strategy rolled into one. Knowing your take on advocacy, burnout, fatigue, and a very balanced way to find a way out into, curating creativity and, having those networks aligned. I think we've covered a lot today. And I would say that people listening today shouldn't really feel that burnout is a badge of honor. Like, oh, I'm so stressed and I'm so burned out. It is like a blinking dashboard light that keeps telling you, you know what, the engine needs care. Like,
I love that. Check the engine. Time for maintenance. Time for self care. Gosh, that's so true. I can't believe we were talking for an hour. It's like I can't believe I've known you for 3 years. It's just gone by in the blink of an eye. So thank you
thank
for
you.
having me. This is a lot of fun.
Thank you so much for your wisdom, your humor, and the constant cheerleading I get on LinkedIn.
Always, always, and forever.
If you found today's tea piping hot, don't forget to stir the pot. Share it, rate it, and bring a friend to the table. Until next time, keep turning loyalty into leverage with me, Aparna, and the Loyalty Talks podcast.